Welcome to I Said What I Said, a sports podcast giving you opinions not heard anywhere else. I'm your host, Brad Wakai, alongside my co host, Tyson Gentry, on a Friday the 13th edition here, Tyson. How about that?
Spooky. And you were hating on my Purdue pick to cover the spread, yes, or in the college football one. Look at us now.
Look at us now, man. It's October. We got a Friday the 13th situation. Do you watch Halloween movies before we jump into the NFL?
No, dude, I don't. Nothing in my life makes me upset. But when I'm watching a horror movie, I get like irrationally like pissed off, and then I get mad that I'm mad, and then I get more mad, and it's the only thing. I don't know what it is. They make me want to break stuff.
I don't watch them because I'm scared. Like, I hate scary movies because I am like scared. I don't understand when
Me
people
too.
are like, yeah, I like being scared. I hate being scared. Who likes being scared? So I watched one the other day, though. I will say it was actually a pretty good plot. It was a pretty good storyline. So I kind of got sucked into it a little bit, but I was covering my eyes a little bit. I can't believe I
Are you
said
gonna
that on
plug
here.
them or what? You can't just leave us hanging.
I forget what it's called now. Jeez. Pretty good. And I forgot the title. So how about
Sounds
that?
awesome.
All right, enough of us our nonsense here, Tyson. Let's get to what the people want, and that's Week 6 NFL preview. And like we always do, we're going to go through each game. We're going to discuss this point spread a little bit, what we're looking forward to as we get closer to Sunday, and as Sunday rolls around, and then we'll get into money making time and give out our picks for the week. So let's get into the first one. Ravens Titans. We have another London game, Tyson, again in the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, just where the Bills and the Jags were playing. Now we have the Ravens and the Titans going overseas. Now, interesting angle here. The Ravens are 4-point favorites. The Ravens have had a horrible time over in London, so they hired a specialist to study what successful teams have done over in London, and so that they could apply that to this week. So they went over early. They decided, okay, we're going to take all this info. We're going to go over early. The Titans have gone over late. So I'm curious to see how that factors in. Injury wise, Treylon Burks, he is questionable. Everybody else, no other big names. Tyler Tart, maybe defensive line. He's questionable with a toe injury. Odafe Owe for the Ravens is out, their defensive end slash edge rusher. So, what are you interested in seeing here? Because the Ravens are coming off a gross loss against the Steelers, and the Titans also just got bodied against the Colts.
Yeah, this is the battle of two teams that I don't really want to watch. I unfortunately have some futures tickets on the Baltimore Ravens, so I'll be tuning in bright and early. By the way, dude, I hate the London games. Like I don't like them. I don't like them at all. I don't like the field. The players seem to not like the field. I don't like the time, but that's neither here nor there. Basically, the thing that I'm most interested for in this game is what is the game script going to look like for the Tennessee Titans? Because you think this is going to be a game where they are going to want to run the ball. The Ravens defense is good everywhere. Like this is not going to be you can catch them by surprise or catch them slipping in the pass game or whatever. Obviously, um, Tennessee doesn't catch anybody by surprise in the pass game, so that was kind of flying out the window. DeAndre Hopkins has been quietly really good the last couple of weeks, and the box score might not show it all the time, but if you look at his target rate and just kind of like the stuff he's hauling in, like he's playing well. He's not getting yak and stuff, but is Tajay Spears going to be like a thing in this offense? That's kind of what I'm most interested to see because when Derrick Henry's in space and Derrick Henry's rumbling, he looks really good. But sometimes, like last week, they had to get Spears involved because Derrick Henry, like when you put 8 in the box, it's hard for anybody. And we got spoiled for a long time with Derrick Henry. It's not like he's fallen off the age cliff, but like it is getting harder for him to turn these 2-yard losses into 5, 6, 7, 8 yard gains. And Tajay Spears kind of alleviates some of that from him, getting him on the edge. So I think that's going to be something I'm curious because I don't really want to watch Chico Conquo play defensive back anymore. I like Treylon Burks isn't going to play, I don't think, but like I don't care. Can Baltimore catch the ball? That's pretty much all I have on their offense.
Yeah, I want to go back to the point, and then we'll move to a different game. Don't want to spend too much time on this, but I do think it's funny that the players are complaining about turf and they want grass, but they go play on the best grass over in a soccer stadium. And they're like, we don't like this grass. It's like, guys, I get it, but you can't really have it both ways. Like, what are you being Goldilocks now? Like, turf's too hard. This grass is too soft. Like, we need our perfect grass. Like, come on, guys. Like, it's always
It's a
interesting
billion
one for
dollar.
me.
It's a multi-billion-dollar. They should be able to get them their perfect grass.
49ers Browns. Now, this is an extremely interesting game for a lot of reasons. One, the point spread is huge because it's the 49ers. best team in the NFL right now against the Cleveland Browns, who are going to be without Deshaun Watson once again for the second straight game and off a bye. Originally, he said he could have played against the Ravens. Not anymore. I don't know what's going on there with a right shoulder injury, so that's something to keep an eye on. Dre Greenlaw back on the injury report is questionable for the 49ers. Same with Elijah Mitchell. David Njoku, he's questionable with his burnt face. Joel Batonio, the guard, he's out. So how does that work against this 49ers team? But Tyson, I'm curious about this one because the total is so low and the weather is going to be so bad in this one that I think there may be a little value on the Browns who are starting PJ Walker, as crazy that is to say.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous thing that just came out your mouth. And I kind of want you to apologize to our listeners. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Like, to me, and I don't want to, like, speak out of turn, but this kind of thing is really bad. Like, his coach said he was medically cleared over 2 weeks ago, and he hasn't popped back up on the field. I don't know if it's, like, more impending allegations or what, but, like, the fact he's not playing is – it's ridiculous. After David Njoku's house burns down, the dude's posting pictures. He looks, it doesn't look fun, and he's out there playing football. This is something you have to do for your team. Is this Browns defense good enough to keep it close? Probably, but we thought the Cowboys defense might be good enough to keep it close against the 49ers, and that wasn't true either. 10 points. 10 points in under 35. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me.
So the one thing here is that Jim Schwartz, the defensive coordinator for the Cleveland Browns, has a really good track record against Kyle Shanahan. So they've met up 8 times when either Kyle Shanahan has been a coordinator or a head coach against the Jim Schwartz defense. Schwartz has won 7 of those 8 meetings, Tyson, 6 in a row. So there's something about the defense that he employs that it makes it difficult for what Kyle Shanahan and his offense wants to do. So that's something to keep in mind as we get closer and closer to that game time there. Commanders at Falcons. Now, Falcons are coming off a huge victory at home. We said it last week. Desmond Ridder has not lost a home game since he's been at the University of Cincinnati and now is a professional in Atlanta. Commanders are coming off a bye. They were embarrassed by the Chicago Bears in front of everybody on Thursday Night Football. So they have an extended period of time. Have they been able to address and adjust certain things that really they got torched in? Now, Desmond Ridder is not the same type of player as Justin Fields, obviously, but last week, he looked good through the air. The Falcons also come into this game extremely healthy. Like, there's nobody on the game day injury report. And the Commanders, they're fairly healthy as well. They only have one person out, which is Christian Holmes, who's popped up on the injury report. Curtis Samuel's going to play. Charles Leno's going to play. They practiced in full. So I want to see if the Commanders can right the ship here and actually get that defense we thought was going to be good heading into the season right in this spot.
This feels like a loser leaves town game, like all over the place. We got Arthur Smith and Ron Rivera. We have 2 teams that, like, the Commanders were kind of being talked about as like a sneaky playoff team this year, and that's not going to happen. It doesn't look like. Atlanta still has some hope, but like if they lose, the biggest one here, Brad, is we have maybe the best mid-off of all time between these 2 quarterbacks. Like, both these dudes, apparently, we didn't know this about Desmond Ridder, but apparently he can pop for 400 yards. We've already seen Sam Howell do it. But if you were enjoying yourself watching the Kansas City Chiefs offense on Thursday night last night against the Broncos, then have fun watching Eric Bieniemy because he is legitimately trying to run the exact same offense with way worse players.
Panthers at Dolphins. So Panthers were in the news because head coach Frank Reich comes out and talks about the owners' meetings that he's already having, Tyson, 5 games into the season and 5 games into his tenure. That's a different conversation. I think we will probably address at a later date more in depth because I do think it's probably an interesting topic that we can discuss on this podcast, just ownership's involvement in the football operations now. But regarding this game, running back Miles Sanders out with a shoulder injury. Free safety Xavier Woods out with a hamstring injury for the Panthers. Guard Chandler Zavala out with a neck injury. Austin Corbett, guard, out with a knee injury. Von Bell out, quadriceps, who was their huge offseason signing at the safety position. And they have about 4 or 5 more players, including Brian Burns, who's questionable with an ankle injury there. And for the Dolphins, obviously the big one is Devon Achane Achane, who is out on IR with a knee injury. Their explosive rookie running back. So this is a 14-point spread here for the Miami Dolphins. The Panthers have been battered around all season long. Tua has not been great the last 2 weeks. He's been good enough for them to get victories, but I think they're going to be focusing a lot more on the passing attack in this one. So I want to see if they can right the ship through the air.
See, I feel like they're going to focus on the passing attack only if they have to, because the Panthers have one of the worst rush defenses in the NFL, and it doesn't matter for Miami if it's going to be Raheem Mostert or Jeff Wilson Jr. or Salvin Ahmed or Chris freaking Brooks, dude. They're going to run for 240 yards and do whatever they want against this Carolina Panthers defense. If Tyreek's going to get Tyreek numbers, and maybe they'll be able to throw all over him. Like Jeremy Chinn's not playing, not that he's a good deep safety, but I find it really hard to believe that he's not good in that kind of joker role. Or better than anybody else on the Carolina Panthers right now. So he's a trade candidate right now for sure. But Miami's just going to run the piss out the ball, and Carolina's not going to be able to do a thing about it.
Vikings at Bears. Obviously, Justin Jefferson, he's out. Everybody knows that in football right now. He's on the IR with a hamstring injury. That's the big news coming out of there. Everybody else really for the Vikings is fairly healthy. Now, they're 3-point favorites on the road at the Bears, which I think shocks a lot of people because they've won. Well, they won last week in convincing fashion against the Washington Commanders. But Tyson, on the other side for the Bears, running back Khalil Herbert, he's out. Ankle injury. Travis Homer, out. Roshan Johnson, out. So they're down to 2 running backs here in Chicago. I am super fascinated by this game. How important is Justin Jefferson to this Vikings offense? With Jordan Addison, with KJ Osborne, with TJ Hawkinson at tight end, what is his value in this game itself, and what's his value going forward as he misses 4 games? And obviously on the flip side, with Justin Fields, yes, it's looked better the last 2 weeks, but now he's facing a defensive coordinator who wants to blitz. Will he be able to handle that in this one?
I don't care who wins this game, because this one to me is about pole position for Caleb Williams. These are 2 prime spots. I think if you're Minnesota, you almost have to be thinking about it right now a little bit. You got to be thinking, man, it'd be pretty nice to get him, Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson going forward. And then on the flip side, the Bears are not going to try to lose games. Eberflus is going to coach for his job. Justin Fields is going to play for his job. I think anybody out there expecting the Bears to be bad on purpose is outside their mind, because these are a bunch of guys that Ryan Pace isn't even safe, and this isn't even his roster. He got here, and this is what he got. This is the battle to see who's going to be at the bottom of the NFC North, which is probably not where I expected Minnesota to be right now. But I do think that the spread is warranted. Minnesota's not getting blown out by anybody.
Yeah, Ryan Poles. He inherited Ryan Pace's.
Yeah.
Which imagine PTSD. Chicago. Imagine Chicago being like, we had a bad Ryan P before. Let's hire another Ryan P.
Yeah, they should get another Matt N.
Colts at Jaguars. Very interesting game to me here. Jags coming back from London. They spent 2 weeks over there. Colts flying high right now. They've actually exceeded expectations early on in the season. Jaguars 4.5-point favorites. Now, Colts are going to be going with Gardner Minshew because Anthony Richardson is out on the IR with shoulder surgery. So Gardner Minshew is familiar with this offense. He's going to. Yeah, apparently he's going to get a shoulder surgery.
That. Oh, my goodness.
No, I don't. That's at least how they were leaning. He hasn't been operated on yet, but I saw that they were leaning towards getting an operation, which is not what you want to hear this early on in your career. And then as far as the Jags go, Tyson, which Jags are going to show up, man? Which one are going to show up? Is it the one who looked absolutely unstoppable on third down situations against the Buffalo Bills? Or is it the team that had miscue after miscue against the Chiefs and against the Texans? That's what I'm curious to see in this one.
Yeah, the Jaguars got a little Ted Lasso thing going on, right? It's not great in America. They head over across the pond and get their lives figured out just to come back. This is the story in this game. It's the Gardner Minshew revenge game, because if he wins, the stat. It's him and Trevor Lawrence have pretty close to the same win-loss record. They have close to the same yards, touchdowns, interceptions, all that stuff. I don't subscribe to the idea that Gardner Minshew ever in his life has been better than Trevor Lawrence. But if he beats him, it's going to be a real fun week on social media.
Saints at Texans. Now, Saints are 1.5-point favorites. I think rightfully so in this one. Texans have actually been really good at home. So that's something to keep an eye on here. But Tank Dell, rookie wide receiver for the Texans, who's been awesome, is questionable with a concussion. I don't think he's going to play. He was limited on Friday. He didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday. Like, it doesn't seem like he's going to go. Now, Robert Woods, the other wide receiver, he's been questionable with a rib injury, but he was a full participant on Friday, along with their linebacker, Christian Harris, who has a concussion. So I do think they're going to go, barring anything unforeseen. The Saints are banged up. Dwan Johnson, their tight end's hurt with a calf. Lonnie Johnson, hamstring. Andres Pete, which is a huge one. He's questionable. The rest of those guys, they're already ruled out. So they're banged up coming into this. But Tyson, always comes down to, can you trust Derek Carr in a big spot to go on the road? And I can't believe we're saying this is a big spot against the Texans team.
You know what's even crazier is the Saints aren't going to be treated to the same walk in the park they were against the New England Patriots, against the Houston Texans. Like, how wild does that sound? Houston's going to fly around. They're going to want to hit you. I'm still not sold on this New Orleans Saints team. I think, if you watched last week, they looked good. They were also going again. It's like when somebody beats the Giants, it's really hard to get excited about what just happened. And I think the Patriots are at that point. Dude, it's another CJ Stroud test game because they're going to feed Dameon Pierce, and the Saints aren't going to want to let him run the ball. I don't expect Marshawn Lattimore to shadow Nico Collins around the field. So it's going to be on him. Like, it's not going to be John Mechie or anybody else. It's CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, which is pretty damn cool if you're a Houston Texans fan right now.
Seahawks at Bengals. Bengals coming off a huge victory. They needed it. Yes, it was against the Cardinals, but they looked really good, really explosive on offense. And the Seahawks are coming off of a bye. Pete Carroll's been successful off a bye. Bengals seemed like they're getting healthier. Akeem Davis-Gaither, their linebacker, he's out. Chidobe Awuzie, Devin Harper, T. Higgins, they're questionable. Now, T. Higgins said he's expecting to play along with DK Metcalf, who's expecting to play as well. He's a full participant after having a rib injury. Was what we saw fool's gold against the Cardinals.
One of these teams is, for sure. That was exactly what I was going to say.
Is Joe Burrow healthy, or did it just look good against a bad Cardinals team? That's what I want to see in this one.
And we'll see. Burrow was practicing without that calf sleeve on, which I guess is the first time this year that's happened. So that's probably, you take that as a positive sign if you're a Bengals fan. And then are the Seahawks good, or are the Bengals good? Like, I don't know what to make of either one of these teams. All I do know, Kenneth Walker is going to eat. I think he's on the verge, dude, of being like one of the more underrated players in the entire NFL, at least on offense. Like, this dude he's really good. But if Jamar Chase is showing up, like, everyone is all over Devon Witherspoon right now. Rightfully so. He's playing awesome. That's Jamar Chase on the other side. So This is a huge test.
Patriots at Raiders. Can the protege beat the master? Josh McDaniels heading back to face, well, I guess not technically heading back, but facing his former boss, Bill Belichick, and the Patriots are coming in absolutely banged up, Tyson. 17 players popped up on the injury report, 7 already ruled out. I mean, it is insane. Now, only 2 for the Raiders are ruled out. Nate Hobbs, the cornerback, and tackle Justin Herron with the concussion. They're out. And they have 1 player, Jacorian Bennett, the cornerback, with a shoulder injury, is questionable. But for me, it's this. Can Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels scheme something up together where they can beat this Patriots defense, who has looked gettable and they've given up a ton of points? But at the same time, do we trust Jimmy G and Josh McDaniels to get this done?
I trust half of them, for sure. I trust Jimmy all day long. I mean, we talk about it all the time. The dude's a winner. But the only thing I know for sure in this game is I don't think the Patriots are about to have their third 30-point loss in a row. That's about as good of a thing as I can say, because I'm not looking forward to this one very much. I think Josh Jacobs probably has a good game. Imagine paying Juju Smith-Schuster to be a healthy scratch, the same amount of money that Jacoby Myers gets, and then you have to watch that dude shred your defense for an afternoon. Good thing Bill's drafted well enough to be able to replace those 17 guys on the injury report.
What a bold statement. Patriots aren't going to lose by 30.
We're at that point where it might not be, it might be kind of a hot take.
Lions at Bucs. Lions 3-point road favorites against the Bucs, who have actually had a really good season as they're 3-1 coming off of a bye week of their own. Now, The Lions come to this one extremely banged up. There are two rookies, Brian Branch and Jahmyr Gibbs. They're out with ankle and hamstring injuries. Jonah Jackson's out with an ankle injury. James Mitchell out with a hamstring injury. Emmanuel Mosley out with a knee injury. Sam Laporta, he popped up. This is bad. Their tight end popped up on the injury report with a calf injury. It's questionable, but expected to play. Tampa, on the other hand, is healthy. They're getting back Mike Evans, who was out with a hamstring injury 2 weeks prior. Kalijah Cansey, their own rookie pick, is back after having a calf injury. Really, the only person who popped up is Shaq Barrett on the injury report with an illness, who's questionable. I think he's going to play. So you got a team coming off a bye against the Lions, who are going on the road, and Jared Goff, who struggled outside of the Dome and outside of Detroit. I'm not sure what the weather is here in Tampa. I'm expecting it to be fairly okay, but there could be some winds down there in the Gulf. But what are you looking for in this one?
This is going to be a mirror image of when the Philadelphia Eagles beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was that Monday night? That was
Monday,
week 3. This is going to look the same. Like, the Lions' run defense is really good. The Bucs can't run the ball. Are you taking Baker Mayfield to outscore Jared Goff in this Lions offense? No, I know Laporta is on the injury report, but Amon-Ra is healthy this week. So I think you take that trade-off as a Lions fan, and David Montgomery will get in the end zone.
Cardinals at Rams, the once beloved Cardinals, right? Woo, they're trying really hard. Oh, look at them. They're covering spreads. Well, they got absolutely smacked. Dude, people were picking just think about this. The Cardinals, who had a preseason win total of 3.5, 4.5. People were legitimately picking them to beat the Bengals, who were one of the Super Bowl favorites this year. Like, I couldn't believe what was happening last week. A little bit more of normalcy here as the Rams are 7-point favorites at home against these Arizona Cardinals, who come in with a lot of people on the question on the injury report here. Jalen Thompson already ruled out with a hamstring injury. Here's the big ones. Hollywood Brown, illness. He's questionable. Dennis Daly, offensive lineman, questionable with an ankle. Tight end Elijah Higgins, he's sick as well. So it seems like something's going through there. And the other one, really, Jonathan Ledbetter, finger, he's questionable on the defensive line. Questionable for the Rams, only 3 guys. Noteboom, offensive lineman, so that's a big one. So they got to get him right. Ernest Jones, knee at the linebacker spot. So really, what you're looking for here is how explosive can this Rams offense be? Cooper Kupp's back, we know that, but the Cardinals like to limit those explosive plays. That's what Jonathan Gannon does. So are the Rams going to be able to move the ball down the field in chunks, and is Stafford going to be patient enough to be able to take these little chunk plays across the middle and move the ball down the field?
I think the answer to that's yes. Also, like, James Conner being on IR kind of changes the entire complexion of this Cardinals offense. Not like they've been lighting up the world, but it sure helps with James Conner. And maybe is it Amani DiMercato? I don't remember his first name, but he's going to step in, it looks like, into that running back role, and we'll see if he can keep it rolling, because the Cardinals really, really need that to keep this. Not like this is going to be one of those games, Brad, where I think the Rams win comfortably, but we're going to feel like it was competitive the whole time, even though it probably wasn't. They're just going to stay up by 2 scores. And the answer is yes. Matt Stafford is going to take those Cooper Kupp checkdowns all day long, and they're going to move right into the red zone, where the Cardinals will bristle, but maybe a lot of field goals.
Eagles at Jets. Eagles got up from a 6-point favorite to a 7-point favorite, and now down to a 6.5-point favorite after news came out that rookie superstar Jalen Carter is out with a sprained ankle. Also, they'll be missing safety Justin Evans with his knee injury. Quez Watkins, a hamstring injury, is going to keep him out after he returned to the field last week. But Tyson, back for the Eagles. Fletcher Cox, who was out with the back injury last week. Nakobe Dean, who was on the IR, he's back after recovering from his foot injury. And Rashad Penny, he was sick last week. He's going to be active, apparently, this week as well. So that's something to keep an eye out on. And the Jets, they are out or missing their starting guard. What's his name? I'm sorry. Elijah Vera Tucker. Yeah, Vera Tucker, which is huge. I mean, maybe not as huge now Jalen Carter's out, but now you get Fletcher Cox back. I just don't know. Everybody's calling this Jets team and this Jets defense really good. I was looking at their DVOA numbers. Tyson, they're outside the top 15. Like, I think we've overrated this Jets defense just a tad.
Well, they've got really good players too. That's part of it, because Quinnen Williams this year, he's like on on pace. If you're listening, I'm doing air quotes. He he's playing really well. It's like the counting stats aren't there, but he has a better percentage and like pressure rate and all that stuff. We know what Sauce Gardner is. He's probably going to be a little banged up after last week, but I think that Philadelphia so far this year has proven that they're pretty rabbit-eared when it comes to the media. Like they're listening and, oh, you want Jalen Hurts to run more? We'll do that. AJ Brown, do you guys think he needs the ball more? He'll do that. So I expect a force feeding of Devontae Smith to kind of start the game.
Sunday Night Football, Giants at Bills. Bills just a massive 15.5-point favorite here because Daniel Jones out, neck injury. That's your starting quarterback down. Listen to these offensive line injuries. Tackle, Matt Peart, out. John Michael Schmitz, the rookie center, out. Star left tackle, Andrew Thomas, out. Defensive end. He's good. Andrew Thomas is good. He's the only other one on that line. Yeah, not the right tackle, Evan Neal. He's a bum.
No, but I'm saying you said star left tackle. I would have probably dropped a star. He's a good player.
No, he's good, dude. I'm telling you, Andrew Thomas grades out really well according to PFF. But Azeez Ojulari, defensive end, not good. I mean, this is a banged up team, and if you just go through everything, who's on the questionable report? Darren Waller, running back Gary Brightwell, Saquon Barkley still, the aforementioned Evan Neal, DJ Davidson, and obviously for the Bills, horrible news for them that Matt Milano's out, who's really like one of the stars of their defense. That's just not good for them. I want to see what their defense looks like without him. And they're not really going to be tested in this one, I don't think, by Tyrod Taylor, but that is a tough pill to swallow.
So what is like the ultimate ceiling for the Giants offense this week?
Ultimate ceiling.
Like 17 points?
I was just going to say 17. Yeah.
Like
17. I don't think 3 touchdowns. I think 2 and a field goal is fair.
That's what I think that's like best case scenario.
Yeah,
for what this offense can put up. So we never ever like seeing these biggest spreads in the NFL, and it's very rare that you can kind of justify one in your head.
Especially with the Buffalo weather as we turn the clock here. So keep that in mind as well. Monday Night Football, last one here. Cowboys are 2.5-point road favorites against the LA Chargers, who are coming off a bye. Now, obviously, the Cowboys got flat out embarrassed against the San Francisco 49ers on prime time. That was just extremely hard to watch. They're going to have home field advantage. We know that because it's in LA. This is hard for me because if it's a good coach here, I expect the Chargers to at least be in this one. But the familiarity between Kellen Moore, the new offensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, the defensive coordinator for the Chargers, what Kellen Moore wants to run, what Kellen Moore knows that offense can run under Mike McCarthy. It's all screaming to me this is going to be a very interesting and fluky game potentially.
That's one side of it, and I can see that. The other side that I could see happening, it kind of feels like a classic Cowboys bounce back spot where everybody starts believing in them again, doesn't it? Kind of feels like they lost by 30 last week. Dak Prescott's the worst quarterback in the NFL. Tony Pollard can't run the ball. They might score 5 touchdowns.
So normally they beat up on bad teams, right? Like that's their MO. Like the Cowboys, they'll beat up on bad teams, make you believe in them. They play a real team, they lose. I'm wondering what side of the pendulum this Chargers team falls on because I don't think they're a bad team, but Tyson, they're not an elitely good team that the Cowboys struggle with. So that's why I think this could be close and it could be a field goal game as the odds makers suggest.
I think that the Chargers are Pinocchio. That is my feeling.
Yeah, it could be. That is for sure. Okay, let's get into Money Making Time here, Tyson. I'm going to pull up our results from last week. Let me get that going. For some reason, it didn't share before. So if you're watching on YouTube, we're getting it now. Here we go. It is pulled up here.
You had to flash the college ones just real quick, just to let everyone know how poorly we did last week.
No bags on the head for us today if you watched our college episode here. I went 4-2 last week. Jaguars was a play you had to make there as they stayed over there. Falcons was sweaty, got home. Lions team total, that was a rocking chair play. Bengals enough was enough with that line. We got them at 3 and they rocked it. Complete idiot move by me trusting the Dallas Cowboys. And I'm mad at the Eagles. This is a 2-unit play and ultimately cost me because this was a game that I handicapped perfectly, to be completely honest, to score over 27.5. They were in the red zone so many times, just mistakes. not punching it in, not being aggressive enough to get over this number. They did enough to win, but just couldn't get it home for me. So I ended this week up 0.36 units for me. Tyson went 2-3.
I did. It was the Saints Patriots, wrong process, right result, right? I did not anticipate that to happen. Devon Achane basically hit his rushing number on 2 plays, so that one was pretty easy to get home at 49.5. The Jets and Broncos, for some reason, I still am kind of confused on how this game went over 43.5. Missed that one. The Ravens puked all over themselves. I missed that. They were -4.5. And then Anthony Richardson, the aforementioned, he obviously got hurt halfway through the second quarter, and I had him for anytime touchdown. So that was a tough pill to swallow as well.
So Tyson lost 1.21 units in week 5. I, for the season, am down, I can't believe this, 0.03 units. Like, come on, really? Like, just give me even money here. Tyson's down 1.66 units, couple bad beats for him. He was hot in the NFL for a while too. It just one injury and it cost him, to be completely honest. So as a podcast, we're down 1.69 units. Not bad at all. I think we're starting to feel this process out a little bit more in the NFL season. And let's be honest, guys, the NFL is extremely hard to beat. So through 5 weeks with not a lot of data, this is not a bad place to be. So let's get into it. Tyson, how many plays do you have this week?
I have 5. 2 of them are in the same game.
Okay, sweet. So
really
I have 4.
Okay.
Sweet. So I'll pass it to you then. You start.
Okay, I'm going to start. I'll just start with the double up, make it easy for everybody. In the New Orleans Saints at Houston Texans game, I'm going to play Alvin Kamara over 3.5 receptions and Nico Collins over 4.5 receptions. Alvin is smashing those numbers. And this is kind of the way that this offense is going to work, I think. And if you're upset with Chris Olave's production, so am I, so is he. But he was questionable earlier this week, got upgraded to healthy. I don't anticipate him having like a huge bounce back here. Alvin's a pass catcher, and then we already said Tank Dell's out with a concussion. I don't believe in John Mechie right now, and so I really think this is Nico Collins or bust.
I like that process. Alvin Kamara has been getting a dump down after dump down too.
What do you have? 13 catches for 39 yards.
I think it was 11, which is ridiculous.
It was so bad. Well, not bad, but it was funny.
So this is the first play that I've made in a player prop market on the show this year, but I think I have to do it because I really want to take the Ravens, but I'm scared about Mike Vrabel as a dog, and it's really good. I just don't trust the Ravens right now, but I do trust Zay Flowers in this passing offense. And you may say, what? He was dropping the ball all over the place. That makes me think that they're going to come in a little bit more focused with a little bit more effort and try to attack this passing game with more substance. And this is a Titans defense that you can throw on. That's not the strength of their team. And with Morgan Moses back on the offensive line for the Ravens, I think Lamar Jackson's going to have more time. I think Zay Flowers is going to be a mismatch for every single defender in that secondary for the Titans. So my first player prop of the year, I'm taking Zay Flowers over 58.5 receiving yards.
Welcome to the dark side, brother. I'm gonna keep it in the player prop market here, and this one's more so just A, I don't want to eat this guy's anytime touchdown odds, and B, let's get up for the week right away. Raheem Mostert, first touchdown scorer in the Panthers at Dolphins game. I think he's -230 right now as an anytime touchdown scorer, and that's not really a place that I like to be when betting on player props because obviously anything can happen. I think that there's a pretty good chance that Miami scores first, and I think that there's a pretty good chance that he's the one punching it in.
+420 for Raheem Mostert, anytime or first touchdown score. Like you said, anytime touchdown score for Mostert is -210.
It's disgusting. What's Tyreek?
Tyreek is -170.
Okay, whatever.
How about this? Salvin Ahmed is +155. The guy's barely played this year, so that's.
Is Chris Brooks on that list?
Chris Brooks.
If you don't know, he's the running back from Miami. He's a practice squad guy, but he's a big body, kind of built more for this, and he's been active.
He's not on the list.
Okay. I was wondering if they were going to throw him something crazy, too.
Chase Claypool is +650 if you're interested.
That's gross.
All right, next one for me here. I'm going to go Rams team total over 27.5. And we kind of alluded to it a little bit here. So they got off to a hot start, the Rams did, against the Eagles. 14 points. The offense was cooking. The offense looked great with Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp both back in action. The problem is that the Eagles adjusted extremely well, dominated the offensive line for the Los Angeles Rams. I think that's not going to be the case in this one. I think the Rams are going to try to make a statement here, going back home where they're comfortable, controlled environment. Matt Stafford's going to be able to throw all over this Cardinals defense, just like Joe Burrow did. So I think a big game from Cooper Kupp, a big game from Nacua, and I like the Rams to score 4 touchdowns. Give me over 27.5.
Back to the well. I'm going with Detroit -3 at Tampa Bay. I'm fine with pushing this game, and that's really kind of my main logic. I think that Detroit's a better football team. I think Detroit wins the game, and it's just sometimes you got to play things when you just don't believe an offense can score enough to keep it within the number, and that's how I feel about Tampa Bay.
I'm trying to look up all these odds here. So -105 too, and this was interesting because it was -120 for a while, and I think if it gets under 2.5, that would be extremely interesting. Something to note there, but I'm kind of with you a little bit here. I think everybody's going to priors and saying, Bucs off of a bye, Goff's not very good at home. Maybe we're starting to overrate the Bucs just a tad here, Tyson. What do you think about that angle?
Detroit's physical, man, and it's fun right now to crap on their draft because obviously Jahmyr Gibbs has been out, and when he's in, they're just using David Montgomery more. Brian Branch has been really good. Campbell's been really good. Sam Laporta has been one of the best tight ends in the league to start the year. That's a pretty good draft. Those are good early returns, and those dudes have, they fit right in with the identity of this Lions team.
So I said earlier, if the Eagles are under a touchdown, I'm taking them. They've ticked down to 6.5. Darius Slay, okay, if you're playing Patrick Mahomes, that's a big loss. If you're playing this passing attack for the Jets with Zach Wilson, with that offensive line facing this Eagles defensive line, I don't care that Jalen Carter's out. Fletcher Cox is back. Derek Barnett, Hassan Reddick. Go through the list. I got Jordan Davis. Go through the list of guys. This is a D line that's going to get after this banged up offensive line for the Jets. It's going to make Zach Wilson panic. It's going to make him run. And Bradbury's back healthy. Bradley Roby's in there. There's a lot of Brads back there. I kind of like that. But I got to play this, man. I've heard that people are calling for an outright upset of the Jets over the Eagles. The disrespect for the Philadelphia Eagles right now is asinine. I think they are hearing that. They make a statement. They blow out the Jets, and maybe they get people to shut up a little bit. Give me -6.5.
The Eagles have never lost to the Jets in the history of their organization, so that's a little something here as well. And, maybe this is the time, but I don't think so either. And next up, Brad, just stick with tradition. Desmond Ridder wins at home. Atlanta to take the game against the Washington Commanders. I'm a little bit intrigued by some Bijan Robinson props. I'm a little bit intrigued by some Kyle Pitts props, but I just said, you know what? I think the Falcons are better. And it's Desmond Ridder at home, dude. It's the easiest bet in sports.
Money line?
Money line. It's right now. Oh, you got it right there. I don't want to mess with the point. What's the point for 20 cents?
2.5. Yeah. Especially in this day and age with all the 2-point conversions and all that.
I'm just not a fan. I've not had the best luck at the end of games so far this year, and I don't really want to play with it.
Well, Tyson, so there's a chance that both of us are going to be coming away here pretty happy with that one because I'm back with my play of the week, and it's another teaser. 6-point teaser. I'm taking the Washington Commanders up to 8.5, and I'm taking the Chargers up to 8.5. So they're both at 2.5 on the regular line here. But I'm going to get them above that touchdown number. Here's my reasoning. I think the Commanders coming off a bye are going to be able to figure out a little bit of how to attack Desmond Ridder. Their defense has not been good at all this season. They're really not. But there's enough talent there that I think they can turn it around. On the other side, the Chargers, they just never get blown out. They just never do. And off a bye. So I think that's a field goal game as it's suggesting. So I'm getting a touchdown at home with a quarterback in Justin Herbert who's more talented than Brock Purdy. And Brock Purdy shredded up that defense with Trayvon Diggs out. Leighton Vander Esch out. Austin Eckler's back for the Chargers. This just screams to me that the Chargers either win outright as dogs, or they're at least, if they lose, it's by a field goal. So give me this teaser, minus 134 on FanDuel.
I know that hurt you to say as a Dan Quinn fanboy. I know that was tough to say that Herbert might sling it around on him. My play of the week here, Brad, right back, it's paying every time. The New England Patriots under. And they're playing the Raiders this week. It's 41.5. Again, I think that like Vegas is going to win the football game. I think Josh Jacobs is going to get right. I still don't think that means that Las Vegas goes out there and scores, 4 touchdowns. And on the flip side, how long does Mac Jones make it in the game? Like, are we going to get a 60-minute Mac Jones performance, or is he going to the bench? Is it going to be Zappy? Is it going to be Malik Cunningham? Is it going to be Will Grier? Like, what is this? This is the bottom of the barrel. It should be Will Grier, I think.
If they said if Mac Jones gets benched again, it's going to be Will Grier. It's not going to be Zappy.
Yeah, well, it's like subbing out a guy just to like put in his little brother. Like, it's like, what are we doing?
Yeah. So
and I'm a big Zappy guy, but pop gun, man.
Oh, that's a definition of pop gun arm. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week. Now, I also have Vikings team total over 23.5 in that I gave out on the Monday show. Line's gone against me a little bit. I still love it. To me, I think we're overvaluing JJ a little bit here. I think the Vikings are going to be able to throw all over the secondary. So, Tyson, where can they find the rest of our plays? Because I think I'm going to attack the prop market heavy this week.
That's what I like to hear. I got some parlays, too, that I can throw in there. They'll be in the Chalkboard app. It's in the App Store and Google Play, wherever you download your apps. The group name is ISWIS, presents the Roundtable Bets. It's free. Just look it up. Click that join button. We'll let you write in. Throw whatever picks down you have for this week. Whether you think, give us some crazy ones. Give us some 2-3 touchdowns for parlays for $5. Let's go be able to buy a house here, Pat.
Oh, man. In the meantime, like, subscribe, and share the show. If you're watching on YouTube, smash that like button. It really helps us out in the algorithm, and we appreciate your support as always. And if you're listening in podcast form, whether it's Apple or Spotify, go ahead and rate and review if you haven't already. Send us a 5 stars. Say whatever you want. If you have a question, we will answer it on the show. And connect with us on our social media pages, X, Instagram, TikTok. It's all the same at ISWIS_pod. Huge weekend of football ahead. Saturday has a ton of good matchups if you're a college football fan. If you haven't listened to our show, go back and listen to what we put out. We preview all those big games. Sunday, this is a separating time, Tyson. We say it all the time. This is where teams separate. So we'll be back next week breaking down what we saw early on Sunday in the NFL to get you ready for the upcoming and the rest of the season. So we hope you enjoy your weekend. We'll be back early next week. Until then, guys, peace.